We'll see. Welcome back, everybody. Good morning. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. When Canada legalized marijuana, there was a lot of questions regarding individuals who had been charged with cannabis possession or other minor offenses. The government decided to pardon many of these crimes, but the campaign for Cannabis Amnesty is fighting to do more. Joining us from the University of Toronto is Dr. Akwasi Owusu Bempah. Dr. Akwasi, good morning. Welcome.
Morning, guys.
So, Doctor, first off, your feelings to get into this cause? Where did they, when did they start? Where did they start? And what are you hoping to do for people?
Well, I'm a criminologist. I study inequality in the justice system, and you can't do that without looking at our drug laws. Our drug laws historically have disproportionately targeted marginalized populations and racialized populations, and we see that individuals, families, and whole communities have been devastated by the war on drugs and its impact. So, as we move towards legalization, I thought I'd do what I could, along with colleagues, to try and repair some of those harms.
So, Doctor, talk about that, because I know the government is offering up pardons, but you're saying there needs to be more done. Why is that not enough?
Yeah, so the government's introduced a record suspension scheme. So people who've been convicted of cannabis possession can apply to have that record suspended, which is technically sealed. So, a pardon or a record suspension indicates that the person has done something wrong, but after a period of time, the government forgives them. And that record still exists, and it can be accessed and theoretically could be reversed if another government were to come in and not like that policy change. We would like to see those records being completely cleared.
Right.
So they're not completely cleared. So if I in the past had an issue with a charge and had been pardoned, but the record still exists, if I'm trying to get a job somewhere, if I'm trying to kind of start a new chapter in my life, how much of an impediment is this?
So for most jobs, it shouldn't be too much of an impediment, but it certainly would be for individuals looking to get into, certain aspects of government and law enforcement. And again, thinking about cannabis being something that's legal now, should someone who'd done it in the past be restricted from those jobs? It certainly could impact upon individuals' ability to travel. So there are still a number of restrictions or impediments to, kind of living a free and full life from these convictions.
Sorry, you mentioned racial bias. So what can be done there? What steps need to be done as soon as possible?
Well, so we argue that the government should be, completely clearing the records, and the onus should be on the government to clear these records, not the individuals themselves as it stands now. Paying particular attention to the experiences of Black and Indigenous people who we know, who the data very clearly show have been disproportionately targeted by these drug laws. So even though people use drugs fairly equally across different racial groups, especially something like cannabis, Black and Indigenous people in Canada have been disproportionately harmed, and the government should be working really hard to try and help those groups. The government assumed that about 10,000 people had records that would be eligible for a record suspension or pardon under their system. As of March 1st, less than 500 people had received one of these record suspensions, and this is almost 2 years after the program came into effect.
Wow.
It is 420, and it's good for a lot of internet memes and whatnot, but there's a serious side still to the story of cannabis in this country. Dr. Akwasi, we appreciate it. Before we let you go, where can people get more information on what you're doing?
Cannabisamnesty.ca. Check out our website, our social media, Instagram, Twitter.
Thanks so much, Doctor. Stay safe. Yeah, good point, Sid. There could be
Thank you very
long-lasting
much.
effects.
Take
for
care.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right, the news cycle is busy, as you might expect. We're going to show you a live look at a pop-up vaccination clinic right now in North York. A lot of eager residents have lined up for hours. I'm talking overnight, hoping to get a COVID vaccine. Details coming up next in News with Melanie Ng. Good morning, Toronto. You're watching BT.